There's a soil in the Amazon that has stayed fertile for over 2,000 years, with no fertilizer, no chemical inputs, and no modern science. After 20 centuries, it is still some of the richest earth on the planet. Scientists call it terra preta, black earth. Locals in Brazil dig it up and sell it by the bag because it never seems to wear out. That single fact should stop you cold, because everything modern agriculture believes about tropical soil says this should be impossible. The rainforest soil around it is thin, sour, and exhausted. Strip the trees away, and within a few seasons it turns to lifeless red clay. But right beside it sit these dark, crumbling pockets of black soil that behave like the opposite. They hold water, they hold nutrients, they rebuild themselves, and the people who made them have been gone for centuries. So the question is not just how they did it. The question is why we ever forgot. What matters here is what these soils are trying to teach us, and I have spent a long time reading the actual research, not the myths. What the science shows is stranger and more useful than any legend. Let me be honest with you before we go further. Terra Preta was not magic, and it was not an accident of nature. It was built, deliberately, by human hands, one layer at a time. And that is the good news, because it means it can be built again. When European settlers first found these black patches, they were baffled. Some thought volcanic ash had drifted in from the distant Andes. Others thought a lost lake had left rich sediment behind. Both were wrong. The truth was hiding in the soil itself. When researchers finally analyzed it, they found charcoal, enormous amounts of it. Terra Preta can hold up to 70 times more black carbon than the soil around it. That charcoal is the key to everything. Not ordinary ash, but a specific kind of charred material we now call biochar. It forms when organic matter burns slowly at low heat with very little oxygen. Ancient cooking fires and smoldering household hearths produced it constantly. Instead of throwing that char away, these communities put it into the ground, along with bones, fish scraps, broken pottery, manure, and kitchen waste. Year after year, generation after generation, the soil grew richer, not poorer. If you're already thinking about your own garden or your own land, good, because everything I am describing can be recreated in ordinary soil today. Before I go deeper, I want to point you towards something I have put together, a complete reference guide called the Sovereign Garden Code. It documents the full method for building living soil that renews itself step by step. Inside it, 3 specific protocols do the heavy lifting: the char-charge protocol, the layer ratio method, and the microbial window. I will explain why those 3 matter in a moment, but I could not fit them fully into this video. The link is in the description and pinned in the top comment. Members report that once the soil is built correctly, they stop buying fertilizer altogether. Individual results vary, but the principle is ancient and proven. Now let us get back to why charcoal changes everything. Raw charcoal has a structure that is almost impossible to imagine. A single handful contains a surface area larger than a football field. It is riddled with millions of microscopic pores and channels, and those pores do 2 things that transform dead dirt into living soil. First, they hold onto nutrients that would otherwise wash away in the rain. In a normal tropical downpour, nitrogen and minerals leach straight through the ground. Biochar catches them and holds them like a sponge that refuses to let go. Second, and this is the part most people miss, those pores become housing for bacteria and fungi, billions of them. The charcoal becomes a coral reef for microscopic life, and that living community is what actually feeds the plants. This is the piece modern chemical farming got completely backwards. We were taught that you feed the plant directly with soluble salts, but healthy soil does not work that way at all. Healthy soil feeds the microbes, and the microbes feed the plant. One of the most important partners in that web is a fungus called mycorrhizal fungus, and it wraps itself around plant roots. It reaches into the soil far beyond what roots alone can touch, hunting down phosphorus and water and delivering them straight to the plant. In exchange, the plant feeds the fungus sugar, a perfect trade. Terra Preta is essentially a permanent apartment complex for these fungi. The charcoal shelters them, the organic waste feeds them, and they never leave. That is why the fertility does not fade. The living system maintains itself. Now here is the warning that the ancient builders understood and most beginners do not. If you take fresh raw charcoal and dump it straight into your garden, it backfires. Fresh biochar is greedy. It will pull nutrients out of your soil at first, and your plants can actually grow worse before they grow better. The Amazonians solved this without ever reading a textbook. They never added bare charcoal. They always mixed it with waste that was already alive with nutrients: bones, manure, fish, food scraps, ash from the hearth. The char arrived preloaded, already charged, already teeming with life. That single distinction is the difference between failure and a soil that lasts millennia, and it is exactly what the char-charge protocol in the guide walks through in full detail. There is a second thing they understood about how the material is placed. They did not till it in randomly. Char behaves differently at different depths and ratios. Get the layering wrong, and it either floats to the surface or smothers the roots. Get it right, and it works its way down through the soil for decades. That is the layer ratio method. The second protocol I could not fully cover here. And the third is timing. The microbes do not colonize instantly. There's a specific window after charging and before planting when the life takes hold. Plant too early and the fungi have not established. Wait too long and you lose momentum. That timing is the microbial window, the third protocol, and it decides everything. Now think about what all of this means for a moment. These civilizations did not have laboratories or soil tests or bags of fertilizer. They had observation, patience, and the discipline to feed the ground rather than the plant. And they built something that outlived their empires, their languages, and their names. The soil is still here. The people are gone. The knowledge almost went with them. Modern farming took the opposite path. Feed the plant, ignore the soil, replace it with chemicals. After a few generations of that, the developed world has soil that is dying, depleted of carbon, depleted of life, dependent on a bag you have to buy again every single season. Terra Preta is the living proof that there was always another way, a way where the soil gets richer the longer you work it, not poorer. The most remarkable part is that none of this requires ancient secrets. The science is understood. The materials are things most of us already throw away. Charred wood, kitchen scraps, bones, manure, leaves, the waste of everyday life. The ancients simply refused to waste any of it, and they gave it back to the earth. That is the whole philosophy in a single sentence. Do not feed the plant, build the soil, and let the soil feed everything. If you want the complete method, the 3 protocols, and the exact way to build this yourself, the guide is linked below. Everything you need to start is closer than you think, and probably already in your yard. The Amazonians left us a message written in black earth. It waited 2,000 years for someone to read it. The only question left is whether we finally listen. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, because the old knowledge is only lost until someone remembers it.